Welcome to the English program Kaleidoscope. Happy Women's Day to you all and all the dynamic women out there who are striving hard for excellence in every walk of life. I am Dr. Anagha Baldota. Here we have Anjali Dhadiwal and Mayuri Patil ma'am. We all are working with the D.S. Sri Navalmal Firodia Law College, and today on the occasion of Women's Day, we carry all that due pride for women authors contributing to Indian English. Let's say womania in Indian English. Indian writing in English has emerged as a distinctive and influential genre within the realm of global literature, particularly since the 20th century. Rooted in the complex historical, cultural, and political backdrop of British colonialism and the subsequent independence of India in 1947, Indian writing in English reflects a unique blend of indigenous traditions and colonial legacies. What do you say, Anjali ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. I think it's a blend. And the rise of English as a literary medium in post colonial India is an intriguing subject for analysis, as it carries with it both the weight of imperial history and the potential for creative reimagining of the self and society. Isn't
That's
it, Mayuri,
true.
ma'am?
Yes, Anjali ma'am, right. And may I add to this that the development of Indian writing in English has evolved across three significant phases: the early phase of colonial and post colonial literature, pre 1947, the post independence period, and the contemporary phase marked by globalization and the widespread acceptance of Indian authors in the global literary sphere.
That's true. I agree with you, Mayuri ma'am. This genre is wide ranging, encompassing novels, short stories, poetry, and plays, with an increasing number of works gaining international recognition. Indian writing in English can be traced back to the 19th century when British colonization introduced English as the language of governance, education, and cultural exchange. Some early Indian writers wrote in English, but their works were often rooted in Indian themes and struggles, isn't it? English served as both a medium of colonial operation and an avenue for resistance and expression. However, I think today, as we are applauding women authors in Indian English writing, we could focus on certain noteworthy contributions in fiction only. What do you say?
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
When I think of Indian writing in English, it always reminds me of Sarojini Naidu, who sought to reclaim Indian identity through literature. She used English to represent India's spiritual and cultural heritage, while also criticizing colonial exploitation. I also remember Kamla Das, who experimented with the English language to articulate the post colonial condition of India.
Yeah.
Their works often explored themes like the complexities of post independence identity, the tension between tradition and modernity, social reform, and the Indian family structure.
That's true.
Yes, Anjali ma'am. Also, the 1990s marked a crucial phase for Indian writing in English, with the authors like Arundhati Roy, Kiran Desai, Anita Desai, Jhumpa Lahiri achieving both commercial and critical success globally. Arundhati Roy's debut novel, The God of Small Things, 1997, won the Booker Prize and was
Yes.
praised for its intricate narrative structure and use of magical realism as well.
Exactly, Mayuri ma'am. I think that is the wide read novel which has created a long lasting impact on the readers' community. Because post liberalization, Indian writing in English gained wider global recognition, and it was helped by the explosion of Indian diasporas and an increasing interest in India's complex socio political fabric.
Yes, ma'am.
The shift from regionalism to broader global themes became more pronounced because, authors began to tackle modern issues like globalization, migration, national identity, and the impacts of global capitalism. I think we can add Kamala Das again, which has who has actually explored the themes of gender inequality, caste discrimination, and the limitations of Indian traditional family structure, while also commenting on the struggles faced by women, Dalits, and the marginalized. These gender roles and feminist concerns are always central to much of Indian writing in English. So, when we talk about the traditional writing in Indian English, we should also consider the modern authors like, as you mentioned, Mayuri Madam, Arundhati Roy, the God of Small Things, that critiques the social and familial constraints placed on women in post colonial India, isn't it? Because it showcases the complex interplay of personal desires and societal expectations. Arundhati Roy's use of non-linear time and fragmented narrative in The God of Small Things allows her to explore memory, trauma, and complexity of human emotions. She also employs more complex, poetic, and experimental language to reflect the richness of India's cultural and historical landscape. Similarly, I think, as you have also pointed out, Mayuri ma'am, Kiran Desai also does the same in her the Inheritance of Loss, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because in that novel also the lives of women are trapped by both historical and societal forces, underscoring the generational impact of colonialism. What do you say, Anjali ma'am?
Yes, I completely agree, ma'am. Moreover, I think the theme of migration and the Indian diaspora has gained prominence, particularly since the 1990s, as writers like Kiran Desai and Jhumpa Lahiri explore the experiences of Indian immigrants and their relationship with both their homeland and the foreign lands they inhabit. Themes of dislocation, nostalgia, identity, and the negotiation of multiple cultural identities are central to these works, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
true.
Jhumpa Lahiri's, do you remember Anagha ma'am, interpreter of Maladis,
Yeah, we have
published
had
in
a talk about it.
yeah, published in 1999, deals with the experience of migration and the longing for a lost or displaced home. It is a collection of short stories that focuses on themes of immigration, identity, isolation, and the challenges of cross-cultural communication.
That's true, and nowadays it is read because in during COVID-19 also we face the same crisis. I agree.
Yes, and even I remember her 2003 novel, The Namesake, examines the experience of an Indian American family and their struggle with identity and belonging in the United States. Isn't it, Mayuri ma'am?
Oh, yes,
Do you
Anjali
remember
ma'am.
us reading that?
Yes, ma'am,
I,
certainly.
I think what we call the purgation of human emotions, catharsis effect, is experienced when such sensitive issues are read, understood, and analyzed by Indians.
Yeah, again Aristotelian catharsis.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
certainly noteworthy.
Yes, ma'am. As you talked about readers' emotive connect, I would like to mention Chitra Banerjee over here, ma'am. Her literary works are significant for their exploration of female agency, cultural identity, and the immigrant experience. While her writing is not without its flaws, her ability to weave together myth, history, and contemporary issues has made her a vital voice in both Indian and diasporic literature. Her stories resonate with readers for their emotional depth, lyrical prose, and unwavering focus on the lives of women. I think through her work, Divakaruni continues to challenge traditional narratives and offers new perspectives on age old themes.
And that's why we remember the Palace of Illusions, isn't
Yes,
it?
ma'am.
Yes.
Which has been the groundbreaking retelling of Mahabharata. It repositions Draupadi as a female protagonist, offering the feminist critique of the epic's patriarchal underpinnings. Her 1995 A novel that is Arranged Marriage is a collection of short stories, is a poignant exploration of lives of Indian women both in India as well as abroad. That remains one of her most impactful works. I remember students asking me so very intriguing questions about this particular arranged marriage theme. The Mistress of Spices is also the similar blend of magical realism and immigrant narrative. What do you say about Chitra Banerjee, ma'am?
Yes, moreover, I would like to add Diva Karuni before that. Often weaves mythological, as you said about Draupadi
Yeah.
and the criticism of that. I would like to add Diva Karuni often weaves mythological elements into contemporary narratives,
Because she
creating.
is reinterpreting Mahabharata.
Yes, yes. She creates a rich tapestry of the past and present.
True.
This is the most evident in The Palace of Illusion, as you said, where she reinterprets the Mahabharata to highlight the emotional and psychological dimensions of its characters.
Right.
Many of Diva Karuni's works employ multiple narrators or perspectives, allowing for a more nuanced exploration of her characters' inner lives. This technique is particularly effective in Before We Visit the Goddess,
Yeah,
2016
I remember
novel,
that.
which spans three generations of women, each grappling with their own struggles and aspirations.
Yes, Anjali ma'am. In the same way, Manju Kapoor also adds the same value to the world of literature. She always highlights women issues in her works. Her 1998 novel Difficult Daughters explores the life of a woman struggling with her identity in the changing social and political climate of India. Her 2002 novel, A Married Woman, focuses on the challenges and constraints faced by women within marriage, exploring themes of love, desire, and personal freedom.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
And as you are talking about Manju Kapoor's women centric works, I would like to add Anita Desai's global and wider approach of looking towards women issues. Because in her novel, which came in 1980, I hope you remember that novel, Clear,
Clear
Light,
Light
of
of the
Day,
Day.
isn't it? She's delving into the lives of two sisters, focusing on family relationships, the political and social changes in post-independence era. So I think that there are other writers like Manju Kapoor is there, Anita Desai is there. In addition, we can talk about Geeta Mehta, whose lyrical novel was there, the River Sutra.
Yes,
That was
yes,
also
ma'am.
set along the Narmada River, that explores the complexities of Indian spirituality, religion, and cultural traditions. I think the work A Situation in New York by Nayantara Sehgal is also a novel that examines the cultural dislocation and the complexity of modern Indian diaspora. What do you say? Because here we are covering the broader spectrum, isn't it?
Yes,
Similar
ma'am.
to that, The Day in Shadow is also a collection of short stories that is exploring gender and Indian society. One more novel is there, Rich Like Us, that is also set during the emergency period. So I think even if these women authors were focusing on different genres, at the same time they were also dealing with the political issues out there, isn't it?
Yes, and even social inequalities, ma'am.
That's true. Yeah.
As we talk about Indian diasporas and its issues, how could we forget Bharti Mukherjee's work, ma'am?
Certainly not. I agree.
Her novel, do you remember Jasmine?
Jasmine,
In
yeah, yeah.
1989, revolves around an Indian immigrant woman's transformation from an innocent village girl to a self determined woman in America.
Yeah, it was motivational. And recently, I came across Geeta Ariyaran. Do you know her novel, When Dreams Travel? Have you heard of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Because it is not only about the desires and dreams, it is also about the mythological elements, history, and definitely about the women's rights.
Yes,
Because
yes.
today we are celebrating women empowerment, isn't
Yes,
it?
ma'am.
So I would recommend strongly here that women out there should read When Dreams Travel. It is so intriguing that I thought of exploring a few more works by her. And then I found that the Thousand Faces of Night, which came in 1992, I also came across The Ghosts of Vasu Master, which is again a novel dealing with the emotional and psychological struggles faced by an older man who tries to reconcile his past with the present. So I felt that Geeta Hariharan is not just dealing with women issues, she is quite gender neutral in her views. And then I felt that Indian writing in English has traveled a long way, isn't
Yes,
it?
yes,
It
ma'am.
has
Indeed,
evolved
it's
a lot.
long journey.
Yeah, it has evolved a lot.
Yes, I do completely agree with you, Anagha madam.
Mm-hmm.
It has indeed traveled a really long way by all means, like thematically, philosophically, psychologically. I am sure you both know about Aruna Roy.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
She is known for her work as a political activist and her writing like The Wounds of Partition, published in 2011,
Yeah.
majorly focuses on the socio-political issues concerning the marginalized and the downtrodden.
That's
Yes,
true.
ma'am,
Quite a
yes.
powerful novel out there.
Anagha ma'am, as I remember, you hold a PhD in Sudhamurthy's literary
ma'am.
works,
Yes,
right?
ma'am, yeah.
So we would like to hear from you, ma'am. Would you
Certainly.
please throw some
Certainly.
light on this?
Certainly, Anjali ma'am, thank you. In fact, I am more than happy to share about it because Sudha Murthy's writing style is so simple yet impactful, making her stories relatable, easy to comprehend. And I think, especially in her fiction like Gently Falls the Bakura, House of Cards, and Mahashweta, also in Dollar Bahu, she is portraying different shades of women instincts, their words, and their actions.
Yes, ma'am, certainly.
Yeah, she is sketching psychological upheavals of women during ups and downs, maybe at personal and professional level. She may be homemaker or working women. So
Yes, ma'am.
it is actually the quest of our own self. Whenever I read it, I find new solutions to current problems.
Yes, and you feel fulfilled as a reader.
Yes,
when you
that's
read
true.
her
And
novels.
it pacifies your mind. It tells our mind that yes, this shall too pass. There are solutions to each and every problem. In fact, I think her child literature also does the same work on children mind because those are a beautiful collection of parables. Those give message to children out there.
And ma'am, I think she attempts to pass on moral messages with the help of engaging stories.
I agree, Mayuri ma'am. However, what matters the most is the outcome of any literature, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Literature is a remedy for all kind of problems. In fact, what is literature? It is the reflection of socio-legal, economical, political, psychological incidents that happen to humans' life. And that's why we get connected immediately with that particular piece of literature. Once it connects with human minds, it performs the very function of purification of our emotions. Isn't it? We talked about catharsis, isn't it? And Anjali ma'am, you
yes, ma'am.
mentioned it.
Yes.
So, unless we purify our emotions, how could we elevate the quality of life? So, I think may it be any piece of literature in Indian writing in English, it covers all the areas that can affect or give impact on purification of human emotions should be celebrated. May it be wide range of topics, themes and styles, because women authors have not left any stone unturned in the field of literature.
Yes,
And we should
ma'am.
be proud of it
Yes,
as
yes.
women, isn't it? Because as we are taking a brief overview of contribution of women authors to Indian English, I am sure this churning of thoughts will generate the elixir of some fruitful results. And that's why I, Dr. Anagha Baldota, Miss Anjali Dhadiwal madam and Miss Mayuri Patil madam cordially call the audience out there for putting our hands together to applaud these literary pieces and contributions of women authors to Indian writing in English for their remedial value. Once again, we all wish you Happy Women's Day. Thanks a
Thank you.
lot.